Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with Normal. I'm JM Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, October 11th, 2024. You know what that means, friends? It's time for me to answer all of your burning questions live. We're going to talk about all of the cannabis policy and science news for the past week, which you can get delivered straight to your inbox every Thursday and Saturday from NORML. Just go to normal.org/subscribe. But like not right now, because we're gonna hang out for a minute. Drop a note in the comments and tell me where you are. Let me know where you're watching from. And let me know what your questions are. Hey everyone on Instagram who just joined us. Hi Skyline. You're number one today. I see you first. Hey, Sips in Pennsylvania, good to see you. Take a second to hit like, follow, subscribe on whatever platform you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. We try to do this every Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern. You know, sometimes we take the day off, but we're mostly here on Fridays. Hey, Heather in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Good to see you. Hi, John in Cleveland. Happy weekend to you as well. Skyline, I know where Warrenton, Virginia is. I can't say the same about those other two places. But they're somewhere, I'm sure. Rasta, hello to you on Instagram in Pennsylvania. I do not know. I personally do not at this moment know when that vote in Pennsylvania is scheduled. I will, however, take a look at Bill Track 50 and see if I can tell. We'll just take a quick peek. We'll just look and see what Pennsylvania says. I don't know that it's going to tell me. This is the last action date that I see in here. It's like September. So I'm sorry, I don't know. Bill Track 50 is not telling me that information. No shade to Bill Track 50. We love him. But like Jeff Reedy, are you watching? I bet that'd be a great question for Jeff Reedy at Lehigh Valley NORML. Hey Marco in Arizona, thanks for watching. Hey MK, also on Instagram. You're in. Okay, first of all, MK, you're usually in Charlottesville. Hello. You're in Sussex County, New Jersey. I lived there for a year. Why are you up there? Why is anyone up there? Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. I'm gonna try this. You just really distracted me with that. Get back on track here. Sussex, New Jersey, that is a place. Wow. Hey, Woodyard. Good to see you. Good to see you. Looks like it's giving me comments like out of order. Hi, Marco. In Arizona. In case I didn't say that already, but I felt like I did. The person on Instagram who was asking, how can a felon be in the legal sales of cannabis if possible? That depends on the state. So it depends on what the state permits for licensing for that for their industry. So in some states it's permissible, in some states it isn't. In some states it's certain felonies are restricted for owners versus for employees. Okay, MK, up there for the Badger game. Have fun. I mean, it sounds like you are having fun. Hello, generic LinkedIn user. I can't see your name, but hello, LinkedIn user. That's what your name is on this platform in Sacramento. Thanks for joining. Hey, if you have burning questions, drop them in the comments, and I will try my best. How would you find that info about felonies? You're gonna have to go state by state, or you can just email us if you want us to kind of point you in the direction of people who can best answer industry questions. You can always email me at normal@normal.org. Just say, hey, question for you, JM, and then normal staff will know that I'm trying to answer that email. I think we got this question about California recently. Like someone just asked that question. We have a lot of news to talk about. Oh, hi. Okay, Ryan on LinkedIn. You're right. LinkedIn is weird. But at least we can stream there. Hey, Fred. Happy Friday. All right. Which one of these newses do I want to do first? Okay, my favorite news for the week. I can't wait to hear which your favorite is. My favorite news is about CNMI, which is a U.S. territory, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, about 56,000 U.S. 56,000. The population is 56,000 people in this U.S. territory. And the governor signed legislation that will halt pre-employment marijuana screening for most public jobs. There's some of the typical exclusions for safety-sensitive positions, whatever those are. But good job, CNMI. U.S. territories are really doing very well on cannabis policy. Hey, Ivan, I see your question. Ivan asks, what's the status of rescheduling cannabis? The next step will be December 2nd. There's a hearing scheduled to begin on December 2nd. And it is like the rescheduling process, which is how it happens is prescribed by law. This hearing is very specific. This hearing is not going to be a debate about whether or not marijuana should be rescheduled or descheduled. It's going to be about specifically has HHS put forth adequate information demonstrating that, have they adequately demonstrated that cannabis does not meet the criteria for Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 scheduling, for placement in Schedule 1 or Schedule 2. So that's what it will be about. And it is, NORML has submitted a request to participate in the hearing. It doesn't mean that we will. Aggrieved parties are the ones who you have to demonstrate that there would be some impact on you or whomever you represent. We said we submitted. But that's where we are in that process. The next step is this December 2nd hearing. This is not the first rescheduling or scheduling review that's happened. Many of them have been multi-year processes. So I can tell you where we are, but I can't tell you when. The hearing is in DC. Hey, Ben, good to see you. Your favorite news, Ben says, my favorite news this week is the behind the scenes petty bullshit among California's weed industry. I mean, you can literally substitute any state in there, but yeah. LinkedIn user, which may or may not be Ryan. How is cannabis prohibition different than alcohol prohibition in the 1920s? It's lasted longer. It's incarcerated more people. It's ruined more lives. It's cost taxpayers way more money. That's what I'm going to say. It might not have been the answers you were looking for, but that's the truth of the matter. Otherwise, not much different, other than the length of time and the societal impact. Oh, yes. I don't know specifically where, Ivan, other than in DC. Sorry. My guess is that if you were to read you personally, if one were to read the NORML blog about submitting to participate, which I'm trying to do on the side right now, it may tell us that. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, it's probably in this announcement. I'm looking at the DEA announcement. No, I'm not. Oh, wow. Okay. So, oh, yes. Great. This was a lot. Ivan, you're watching on Instagram, so I can't really share the link with you there. But if you go to the NORML website, there's a rescheduling article on the front page, and if you click through it a bit, you'll eventually get to the public notice. It's very long, but here's the address right here. No, it doesn't really say that. Okay. Oh, here we go. 700 Army Navy Drive in Arlington. So I was wrong. I said DC because that made sense. It's not. It's in Arlington, Virginia. The hearing will commence on December 2nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's 700 Army Navy Drive, Arlington, Virginia. The hearing may be moved to a different place and may be continued from day to day or recessed to a later date without notice other than announcement thereof by the presiding officer at the hearing. Thanks for asking, Ivan. We all learned something today. At least you and I did. I hope you heard all that. Yeah, there's a link to it. I'll drop the link to it in the chat to the public notice. So you can always go see it after the fact in the comments on the Facebook or the YouTube or the LinkedIn or the Twitter stream for this show, because it's on it's on all of our socials, except for TikTok, because TikTok doesn't integrate with StreamYard yet, I hope. Come on. StreamYard just gave us Instagram. Give us TikTok. Okay. Let's talk about news. Oh, yes. Hey, Nick. Good to see you. Okay. Thank you, Ryan, for following up it and confirming that it was in fact you. Your question really is, if alcohol prohibition could be eradicated overnight, why can't cannabis? Public opinion, I think, is likely a contributing factor to this. These are just my thoughts on this, but remember when we used to have to rely on the newspaper for information? Yeah, so you just kind of believed what you were reading in the news or what you were watching on the news a little later. And in particular, when it comes to cannabis prohibition, we know that they weren't being truthful at a number of those points. I think people have a lot of experience with alcohol, particularly at that time, so they knew that it wasn't. I mean, it is kind of terrible when it comes to being a scourge on society for some people, um, but people had their own personal experience with alcohol, so they were able to say, "Yeah, I don't believe whatever this nonsense is." Fewer people had that experience with marijuana. But now we don't have to rely on the newspaper. We all have access to the internet and great shows like this and wonderful organizations like NORML. They're just here to tell you what the information is. Yeah, they're true. You know, which this is truthful. So yes, that's when they're truthful is when you're here. Um, it's just access to public information, and you can see that when when Gallup first polled uh, on legalization, it was 12% of the public supported legalization, and now it's the majority of the public wants to end marijuana prohibition because they have access to that information. It's right there available for them. They have more experience with it, and they know that this is a terrible policy that just places a burden upon the citizens. Um, yeah, I hope that answered your question. Oh, Ben, have a great weekend. Chief. Chief asks, what is NORML doing to help in the states that haven't legalized medical or adult use cannabis? Well, that is probably a more succinct answer to this than what my face is providing at the moment. So we're in the election part of the year right now, and I'm so glad you asked this question, Chief, because elections have consequences. And if we as Americans keep electing people who are terrible on cannabis policy, then we will continue to have terrible cannabis policies. So, what we do at NORML to help combat that is number one, we have Smoke the Vote. This is NORML's voter guide. You can find it at vote.norml.org, and it's going to have grades for the candidates that you will see on on your ballot. It's going to have any voting history on cannabis that they have, any public statements they've made on cannabis, or maybe they've actually taken the time to care about the issue and have submitted the answer to the NORML candidate survey, and then we'll have their very, very direct answers to our survey on Smoke the Vote for you, the voters, to see before you decide to vote for someone where they stand on cannabis policy. So that's one part of how we support the public in voting. We also provide a voter registration tool on our website. You can find that at norml.org/vote. And then we have NORML Election Central, which is going to be at norml.org/election. And this is going to provide you information about all of the pending marijuana referenda around the country. You can read about them, engage directly with those campaigns if you like, and track them. So that's a lot of what we do during the election season, as well as get out the vote emails that we send to people based on the state that they're in, telling them information about how and when and where to vote and what's on their ballot that's of importance, particularly if it's like a ballot initiative. So those are some of the things that we're doing right now in this part of the year. What's going to happen after that is we are starting to ramp up for the state legislative sessions that many begin in January. And then we are going to not only be tracking legislation in NORML's Take Action Center, which you can find at norml.org/act, but there will also be action alerts. So not only can you see what marijuana-related legislation is pending in your state, but you can also click and send an email to your lawmakers in support of good bills and opposition to bad bills. Right there, super easy. Literally takes 30 seconds to send an email using this tool that we provide to anyone who wants to use it. And then, of course, news. We cover news as much as we can. Science and policy. It's right on the front page of the NORML website. It's in the news section of the NORML website. And then we put out our emails every Thursday and every Saturday with this news, and then across all of our social media as well. We also have a global chapter network. So many states have a NORML chapter. If they don't, you should start one. You can find out how to do that at norml.org/chapters. I hope that answered your question, Chief. Yeah. Also, Rick Steves is on the board of directors of NORML, and he has a series of videos that he recently recorded in support of the pending of the ballot initiatives that are out there. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Florida. I think it's 4. You know what would tell me that? It's if I went to Election Central. Which is literally what I'm going to do. But yeah, so those things, those are the things we do. The regular things. Yeah, Florida, Nebraska, South Dakota. Where's North Dakota on it? North Dakota's right there. And and then well, there aren't videos for that. There are local measures pending in Texas. So yeah, those are some of the things that we're doing. Nick, are you in Pennsylvania? Is that why the company you work for can fire you for marijuana? You're right, that does suck. And you should change that law. That's right, Melissa. Melissa says that's why it's important to have these conversations with family and friends as well to help stop the stereotypes. Absolutely. Hi, Ellie. Happy weekend to you. Yeah, Nick, you are in Pennsylvania. I know we talked about that before. And while it may be difficult to look, you're going to vote on adult use in the next session in Pennsylvania. So if it's not already included, if employment protections aren't included in your legislation for adult use, maybe you can get them in there. It doesn't mean they'll make it across the finish line. If not, I recommend a more measured approach where you come in with employment protections for patients, because you have to start somewhere. And starting somewhere is better than doing nothing, as you know, because you watch this show all the time. So if you can't get it, if you can't get the whole thing, then at least get part of it. We did that here in Virginia. Ivan, I see your comment and I want to read that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's relevant to the people who, when they have to hold those hearings. The DEA is holding the hearings. I mean, it was requested, and so it's kind of their job. How much do they care about it? I don't know. Ivan also notes on Instagram, cannabis prohibition oppressed a specific demographic while making huge profits for many, such as the private correctional companies. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, talks specifically about that and how marijuana is the linchpin of the criminal justice system. Because you might, oftentimes people are remanded on their original crime because they test positive while they're out on bond or on probation. They will test positive for cannabis because it sticks around for so long, and then they will be remanded on their original crime. And you have no idea. We have no idea because no one's, it doesn't go into the record as, oh, they were screened, they had a dirty urine test for cannabis, and so now that's why they're going back to jail or to jail. It's just counts as whatever their original charge was, which may have nothing to do with cannabis. That's just one tiny example. Hey, Adam, I see your question on Instagram, and I want to read that. Give me a quick second. Adam on Instagram says, I've heard Amendment 3 is the demo rollout for how they plan to move forward once rescheduled, the new FDA model. It's not. Any thoughts? I'm not connected to this thought, but curious what your thoughts are. No, absolutely not. It's just Amendment 3 is pretty standard. So in Florida, Amendment 3 will legalize adult use. They have to have the language. It's a constitutional amendment, first of all, so even more difficult. And they have that. In order to qualify for the ballot, the language had to be very narrow. It could not do a bunch of things. It could only do a limited amount of things. And so what it does is legalizes adult use and turns on sales at existing operators. And I suspect that if what you've heard has something to do with the turning on sales at existing operators. Let me say this again for the 8,000th time. Turning on sales at existing operators is entirely normal. It is what states do when they expand from medical to adult use regulation. Why? I'm so glad you asked, because it is for consumers. Legalization does not occur for businesses. Legalization occurs for the people, right? And you want to reduce crime. Ending the criminalization of cannabis by default will reduce crime. You can reduce crime even more when you say to adults, hey, you know that store that you used to only be allowed to go into if you paid a doctor to give you permission to? Now you can just show your ID that says you're 21 and you can go in there and you can buy a product that's been regulated and tested for consumer safety. So if you turn on sales of an existing operator, you can more quickly transition consumers away from the illicit market, further reducing crime and better providing for public health and public safety. These are standard policy principles. I'm not saying I'm having this debate with you, Adam, but I'm so tired of the whining about the just business aspects of cannabis and how everything else should come before consumers. You don't have an industry without consumers. Stop putting them last. Again, that's not directed to you, Adam. Just consumers first. They're what makes your industry. Nick, I understand. Cannabis in general is often not a major priority for most legislators in any state unless they think there is money to be made on it. Then suddenly they have all sorts of feelings. Them for themselves, not for the state. They don't care about the state making money. They care about themselves getting money, which is fine. But there's still a way to do it. You can still do it. I have faith. Fritz says, I would think the states where more donations come from get more attention from NORML. Nope. I can tell you which states those are, and they're just states that have a lot of people. It's not, it bears, and it doesn't influence us in any way, shape, or form. There are 3 directors at NORML. There's 3 of us, and the founder, and the treasurer of our board, who is acting as the executive director. None of us care about who is giving us the most money when it comes to policy change. No, I don't agree with that, Chief, that legalization occurs because of the ability to tax. Like, there would be so many more states that would have taken that step, right? There are so many states that just, where the legislators are clinging to the ability to criminalize their citizens because the people who fund them make money off of prohibition. I just think they don't care, and if they do care, they care about it in the wrong way. I wish people legalized because of tax, because then more would do it, but they don't. Ivan, I don't know who you're responding to, but I love, it was the comment we were having. Ivan says, a drug test shows use, not impairment. Or thanks, Adam. I'm so tired. Like, it's not to say that people shouldn't care about the industry. Not everyone works for a consumer organization. That's all we do is focus on consumers. And some people work for business organizations or want to own a business, and that is great. And I'm so happy for them to succeed in whatever they're doing. This is not our focus. So it's totally fine for people to, have business interests and want to talk about those somewhere. It's just not what matters here. We should all want a cannabis industry it's just and fair and equitable and creates economic opportunity for the people in those locations. But also, we're not going to solve capitalism with weed policy. Cannabis is a commodity, and this is the United States, and it will be commodified just like everything else. Hey, hi, other Ryan. Sorry, I had to talk to another Ryan before you got here. But happy Friday to you as well. Hey, Brady. I see you. I'm here and working also. What a coincidence. Anne Marie, look at that. We're having cross-platform communication. Ivan, Anne Marie, thanks you for your comment that drug test shows use, not impairment. We cannot say that enough. I mean, Liz, thanks. Hi, friend. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Liz, since you popped in to join us, again, that reminds me that we're going to have an event date that I'm going to talk about a little later in the show that you're going to want to hear because maybe you want to come to Virginia and hang out. All right, let's get into some of this news. What do we do? I should like color these while I do them. Hey, I'll just do this one right now. Zeke Thomas joined the NORML advisory board. Super psyched to have him on board, and he's really dedicated to working with NORML to promote education and the responsible use of cannabis, while also advocating for consumer rights. Really thrilled to have him join NORML's advisory board. So welcome to the team. Hey, Anne Marie, I see your question. Hello, the Cole memo. Cheers to you. Cheers. Water. Okay, Anne Marie says, I'm becoming concerned about how legalization could affect how I qualify for controlled substance prescriptions. Well, Anne Marie, I can't tell where you are, so I don't know if your state has any specific prohibitions on that, but they're largely imposed by the practitioners themselves. New York. So thank you for telling me, Anne Marie. I don't know if New York State has any laws that require that sort of screening for prescriptions. I can tell you that in Virginia, we don't. If a practitioner is doing that, they're doing it on their own. So that'd be something worth looking into. You're always welcome to send us an email at normal@normal.org. I know exactly who to ask, but if you send an email, that'll help us remember to write you back and say, oh yeah, here's the answer to that question. Oh, well, maybe get a medical cannabis card. If hey, listen, I know that spending more money to do a thing that you can just do as an adult is never a good time. But if your primary care physician is giving you heck about it, then ask your PCP if that would make them feel better. Would you feel better if I had a medical cannabis certification? Hello, doctor. I see you here. Oh, well, hello. Go. I don't know what your name is supposed to be, so it's now Go. Go on Instagram asking, how do you remove a cannabis charge in Virginia? Tell me what kind of charge. Is it misdemeanor possession with intent to distribute? Go. Okay. Or felony possession. So there's misdemeanor possession, misdemeanor possession, misdemeanor distribution, felony distribution, possession, felony. That will be by 2025. There will be a petition-based process for felonies, record sealing. You can call it expungement, but we technically call it record sealing in Virginia. So misdemeanor possession, misdemeanor PWID, those have been sealed in Virginia, and there will be a deeper record sealing done automatically by sometime next year at the court level. It was really hard to automatically seal records when they were in a cardboard box on the floor in the basement. That doesn't work. You can't code your way around cardboard boxes. So everything's being digitized, and the state spent a bunch of money. So those court records will be more deeply sealed. And then the felony, the petition process for felony record sealing will come online. Yeah, I don't think they're available yet either. You can go to vanormal.org/expungement. And you can see the words that I wrote there. I'm going to look it up right now. So these words are so helpful, and I'm going to read them. Petitions for the sealing of felony possession with intent to distribute marijuana records will be available by July 1, 2025. Thank you, Gogo. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hello, doctor. Oh, no, thank you, Cole. No, thank you. We're not going there. There we go. Okay. Oh, I have this. Okay. I love this story, but really, I can't wait for the laughter that's gonna ensue. There was a survey done asking adults about where they get their marijuana-related advice. Do you think adults are seeking marijuana-related advice from their healthcare providers? Or do you think they are seeking marijuana-related advice from government agencies? Or do you think they're getting it from friends or family or the internet websites? So I should say. What do you think? Also, cool memo, no worries. It's just, you know, you got to ask the way Chris asks. Very specific. Okay, so shockingly, in what will, I'm sure, come as a just surprise to all of you, adults who are seeking marijuana-related information, advice, they very seldom refer to their healthcare providers or to government agencies for said advice. NORML's NORML Deputy Director Paul Armentano says this. Historically, government-affiliated sources have either embellished or outright lied about marijuana and its effects. So it's no wonder that the public doesn't consider them to be credible sources for marijuana-related information. No kidding. Fortunately, for the past 54 years, you've had NORML. To give you information. And now we can provide it to you on the interwebs. See what else this says. Are there any more snippets? Oh, respondents were most likely to obtain information from either, quote, friends and family or from websites. They were least likely to obtain information from medical providers or government agencies. Funny thing is, on our website, you can get everything that's in this book. I mean, you can order the book, but you can also get all of it for free on our website. And it combines both healthcare providers and government agencies' facts on cannabis, like not like DEA facts, clinical trials and studies, peer-reviewed papers. I don't blame you, Gogo. Yep. I see your comments. I see them. Okay. And oh, Anne-Marie, you're in New York. That's right. Well, I'll see what information I can find out for you, but definitely send us an email. David, that's I love this comment. David says all gubernatorial candidates in Indiana support at least medical cannabis this year. So that's exciting news. That is exciting news. Indiana has plenty of opportunity for meaningful reform, plenty of progress to be made there. And you have a really fantastic NORML chapter in Indiana. They just celebrated their 50th anniversary this year. So if you're not connected with Indiana NORML, do so. Ryan is commenting on the story we just discussed and says government has lied about cannabis being a gateway drug, addictiveness, and saying it had no medicinal properties and benefits since the war on drugs began. And they won't fund or invest into R&D into cannabis. You're right, they don't, other than some like anti-cannabis, largely historically has been like anti-cannabis research. I do a little bit more now with NIH grants and stuff like that, NIJ grants, more so on the consumer safety side for unregulated synthetics. But yeah, you're right, Ryan. Hey, everyone who just joined us on Instagram, thank you so much. Hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. That was my voice. Catherine, hi. I was just thinking about you this week. And there you are. Do you have this book? Do you need this? Do you need this book? You probably need this book if you don't have it. Like, no, Chris, the government does not like admitting mistakes. However, with rescheduling, this rescheduling process is historic on so many levels. One that's, first of all, the president saying we need to fix this. That's incredibly historic. But second, both HHS and the DEA have agreed that there's enough evidence to support moving marijuana out of Schedule 1 and putting it into Schedule 3. They have to demonstrate that it has accepted medical uses in order for that move to happen. And so this really is, people are like, oh, Schedule 3, that's not good enough. You're right, it's not. But you know what? That is the government recognizing that cannabis has medical utility. That is the federal government abandoning their flat earth policy when it comes to cannabis. It's very significant. It's essentially them admitting they were wrong. We'll take progress however it comes. Yeah, Ryan, you're right. There are over 50,000 entries on PubMed right now referencing cannabis or one of its constituents. What's PubMed? Oh, it's the nation's repository for peer-reviewed studies and papers. And we put the latest and greatest in clinical applications for cannabis and cannabinoids review of the recent scientific literature. It's available in paperback, it's available in ebook in the Amazon Kindle store, and it's available on our website in the marijuana research library. You can get all these sections. We update the website more frequently than the book, obviously, so you can see the website for the newest updates, and you can get the PDF sections of that in here. You can get the PDFs of each section of the book as well. Like if you want to just share it with one of your healthcare providers or something. You do have to look in the right places. Fortunately, NORML is the right place. And most research used to be done by other countries, and it was like that for a while when it comes to cannabis. But the U.S. leads in cannabis research now. It's pretty interesting. David asked if they're trying to keep us from being in the meetings for descheduling, and no, there's just been the time frame for submitting a request to participate in the hearing as an aggrieved party just closed a few weeks ago. We did submit. We did file a request to participate in the hearing. NORML has participated in many scheduling hearings before. It doesn't mean that they're going to have us do so again, but we hope to. Melissa says, this is a great holiday gift for your doctor's friends and family. Thank you, Melissa. It's green for the holiday seasons. Yes, please do get this for all of your friends, family, and healthcare providers. Chris, look, I'm just here to drop some facts. Look, how is it almost 5 o'clock? What is happening? No, I think the book makes good fertilizer for people's brains that need help understanding the medical utility of cannabis. That's the kind of fertilizer we're talking about here. I don't think your plants want it. Unless you're composting it, it's just going to be like the placement for leaves in your compost pile. There's so many newses. All right, I'm going to drop this one in here because we were kind of talking about it. This is an op-ed that Paul Armentano, NORML's deputy director, wrote. It's really great. It's gotten a lot of coverage in the past few weeks. You can read it on the NORML blog as well. And it is titled, Marijuana Prohibition Has Been a Fraud from the Get-Go. I think some of us on Instagram were talking about that a little earlier. Yes, Ivan, we were talking about that, and here it is. It's a really great piece from Paul in which he says the initial push for cannabis criminalization, which began in earnest more than a century ago, had little to do with preserving public health or safety. Instead, the move to prosecute cannabis users was based primarily on sensationalism and xenophobia. Yeah, Melissa, you're right. They don't exactly teach about cannabis in medical school. Of course, there are more and more education opportunities for cannabis and cannabinoids now, but you just get this. Dr. Dustin Sulak has a really great program for healthcare providers looking for cannabis education. You can find that at healer.com. Dustin wrote an intro for this book. I'm just going to stare at it like I've never seen it before in my life. Did you write the foreword? No, that was Greg. Yes, he wrote Introduction to the Endocannabinoid System. See how not fun looking this book is? It's just no, there's no pictures. It's just words. It's great for your health. If you want to make marijuana sound boring, I got you. You want to make it sound not controversial and just you come to the right place. You are right, David. David says, I feel like we're going to be telling our kids and grandkids about the prohibition, like how they did documentaries about alcohol prohibition. Yeah, I remember when we had to hide it to cross states. Yeah, yes. Are they on the website, the book? This book, Chris? Yeah. So there are two ways you can get this physical book. To get the physical book, you can go to store, not let's try that again, store.normal.org. Of course, there's a link to the store on the NORML website as well. And just go in the literature section and order this book. Perfect, you found it. You can also get the ebook version on Kindle, the Kindle store on Amazon. Everyone loves reading books, you're right, Ryan. Melissa on the ball. Hey, everyone who just joined us on Instagram. I'm sorry that I'm not able to show your comments on this screen. Instagram doesn't integrate in that way, but I can still see them. So if you have questions, drop them in the comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Maybe like 10 more minutes. Gonna answer whatever questions you throw at me. And I'm gonna try to tell you some news in the meantime. Oh, I love this one. It's not the first time we've seen it, but I still love it. And why I love it is because of Paul's comments. So it turns out marijuana legalization, both medical and adult use, are associated with greater levels of physical activity. Shocking, I know. Really, what's my favorite thing here is what Paul says. These conclusions contradict long-standing stereotypes alleging that cannabis consumers are lazy or apathetic. It's unfortunate that many of these false claims have historically guided public health messaging about cannabis and have also been used to stigmatize and discriminate against those who consume it responsibly. Definitely take a look at this blog. It's super interesting. Paul put this up this morning, and this is, data that were published in the Journal of Cannabis Research. Researchers affiliated with Brigham Young assessed the relationship between cannabis use and physical activity among adults 18 and older in several states and territories during the years 2016 to 2022. And the researchers determined, quote, current cannabis use is significantly associated with higher prevalence of physical activity. The prevalence of physical activity is significantly greater in U.S. states and territories where cannabis is legalized for recreational and medical purposes versus not legal. They go on to say, and again, these are the study's authors. The study's authors go on to say, the results of this study indicate that legal medical cannabis promotes greater physical activity in those experiencing chronic medical conditions. And legal recreational cannabis promotes even more so greater physical activity in those not experiencing chronic medical conditions. Of course, these findings are consistent with other studies concluding that adults, including seniors, who report consuming cannabis are more likely to engage in physical activity than those who are not consuming cannabis. So, there we go. Melissa very succinctly says, it is easier to exercise when everything doesn't hurt anymore. Hey, JJ. JJ asked, how are laws looking in Texas and Georgia? They're not looking like anything because those legislatures aren't in session right now. So they're looking exactly the same as they were earlier. But new year coming up soon, new legislative session, opportunity to make progress. But JJ, how could I forget? Before we get to the legislative session, we'll have an election. And there are 3 local referenda in Texas. So 3 cities in Texas will see a marijuana question on their ballot. Whew, almost couldn't get that open there. I am going to drop that link in the comments for you, JJ. It should show up on Twitter, but we have measures in Bastrop, Lockhart, and Dallas. So that's what's going on in Texas, is the voters can vote on what is essentially like a depenalization measure. Some people call it decriminalization. At NORML, we call it depenalization. But essentially, the measure would end arrests and citations for adults who possess misdemeanor amounts of cannabis within the city's limits, and prohibit police from issuing citations for charges related to the possession of marijuana paraphernalia. So vote yes on the Bastrop Freedom Act, the Lockhart Freedom Act, and the Dallas Freedom Act. That's what's happening in Texas. And to your point, JJ, JJ says Texas seems like one of the top anti-marijuana states. I would agree with that from the legislative perspective, but not from the citizen perspective by any measure. Many localities in Texas have adopted citizens-initiated measures reducing penalties or eliminating penalties for personal possession of cannabis. And you go on to say, and it's still illegal in Atlanta, Georgia. If you get a chance to talk about this, would be right. Yes, it is still illegal in Atlanta, Georgia. I firmly believe that that in Georgia, not you personally, but one ought to focus on expanding the medical program. Georgia, Texas, and Virginia all started off with the exact same outdated proposal to permit some patients to possess CBD products for some diseases. Like, it was very limited, all super limited. And all three states have done very different things with this. In Virginia, we adopted it initially and just went 0 to 60 like immediately. Well, not immediately. I mean, it took like, we started the conversation in 2015. We passed something in 2016. And in 2020, we decriminalized the state. 2021, we legalized the state. So you can start with something terrible and very quickly make it better. Texas has, I think, done okay with their medical program. It still has a lot of those, like, if you look at it from the outside, you think it's not serving patients as well as it actually is. But that made up list of conditions is stupid, and definitely could expand that there. Also, you have to elect people who don't suck. And the same thing in Georgia. Wow, Georgia, y'all could barely get product into people's hands. It took forever. Do better. Expand your medical program in some way, in some way. Just pick something, and you don't have to come in guns a-blazing saying, I want the whole thing, because you're not getting it, because you got to elect people first. But just ask for something. Just keep taking those little steps forward so you can keep improving it. And the more comfort you can build with your legislature, they need emotional comfort for this topic. They don't care about this topic because, they've had cancer and experienced, help from medical cannabis, or they've had a family member, or they themselves have had their life ruined by a marijuana charge. If they don't have those personal connections to the issue, it's not something they're going to care about. So the more you can build that emotional comfort with this policy, which is taking steps at their pace, and kind of, letting them feel like they're the leaders on the issue, and saying, because they're the people pushing the button for the vote. Like, you can guide them there, right? But you also have to do it gently and help them understand that it really was their idea to do this thing. And then they were so smart to take this very small step forward. Keep doing that. Skyline. Oh, more from JJ. JJ says, absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head. Thank you. I'm also keen to find out if there's been any movement toward allowing the interstate trade of cannabis, only in certain interstate compacts, not at a federal level. Yeah, it's we've got to end federal prohibition in order for there to be interstate commerce. Okay, Christopher, I'm so glad that you have joined, and now the party can start. I'll try to drag this out for like 5 more minutes for you, buddy. Somebody gonna have to try, don't worry. Anything new out of Georgia? Okay, we literally just talked about Georgia for like the past 5 minutes. What could someone in yourself look to see? I love this question. Thank you, Christopher. Where could someone like yourself look to see what's going on in your state? The NORML website. You can go to normal.org and search for your state. If you want to see what legislation is pending in your state in particular, you can always take a look at NORML's Take Action Center at normal.org/act. You can also visit NORML Election Central to get all the information you need on marijuana measures that are before voters around the country. That's what I'd recommend. Also, Christopher, I'm so glad. Sorry, Brady, I'm so glad you asked. You could just get the information delivered straight to your inbox every Thursday and every Saturday. It's real easy. I'm going to tell you how. You're going to go to normal.org/subscribe, and you're going to be sure to click the weekend weed read box when you do, because then you're definitely going to get the weekend version as well. Sometimes things happen between Thursday morning when I prepare that newsletter and Saturday when you get the next one. And so if anything big or new happens, it's going to go in the Saturday version. Thank you, Brady. Get those. So if you are subscribed to NORML News, you're getting these emails, you're looking at them, checking out the Take Action Center, you're going to be good. We're going to tell you what's going on in your state. And if there's something really important in your state that's happening, like we want you to contact your lawmakers about very specific legislation, we're going to email you. So make sure you sign up for our emails, get in our system, then we'll help you figure that out. We would love to help Indonesia regulate medical cannabis. Email us at normal@normal.org. Oh no, it's our book. Go. It's our book. It's our book. We make it. It does, but there are references to government entities. Have government entities study cannabis, not like under a microscope necessarily, like National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has written a lot about it. National Academy of Sciences, like there's plenty of government entities that write about cannabis, and we will reference them if they do something meaningful in this book. That's what I meant. Go, you can just email normal@normal.org, and that'll go right. We also, when you were 15, I talked to, I don't know how old you are. Also, it doesn't really matter if you're a high school student and you're doing a paper on cannabis or your project is on NORML. Like I talk to school age people all the time. We all do at NORML. So you're welcome to reach out to us. Don't worry about that. Normal@normal.org, and just say, hey, JM. And then I will see it. I mean, we all will see it at NORML, but that way I won't. No one else is going to respond. If you say, hey, JM, then I'm going to respond. Yes, you got it. That is the correct email. Oh, insulin, do they? If you donate to Virginia NORML, you will get cool swag. Wasted again. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. This is the first time I've seen a comment from you. The war is not over. First, I will. Some parts of the country it is, but even still, like if you have children, it's definitely not over on you. If you have a job, it's probably not over on you. If you like healthcare, it's probably not over on you. If you like education, there's plenty of ways, even in states where cannabis has been completely legalized and legalized for some time, there are still ample ways in which responsible adult consumers and medical patients are discriminated against. So, but to your point, it's legal in a lot of places, yes. Now, can we talk about these taxes? Sure. They are unfair, and we never get to vote on them. Yes and no. It is not a good idea to super tax cannabis because it doesn't incentivize consumers to participate in the legal market. If you price consumers out of the market, they will just engage with the illicit market. And that's not the point of legalization. The point of legalization isn't to make money off of people. Shocking. It's to adopt a policy that is better than prohibition, a policy that better provides for public and consumer safety. That's what legalization is. You do get to vote on it, though. Now, you may not personally be in your state legislature pushing the button, voting on a bill that changes the tax rate, but you do get to elect those people. And I'm so glad you brought this up because we are in like election season right now. I mean, it's always election season, honestly, but more people are paying attention to it. So I'm guessing you're in a state that's had legalization for some time, but maybe not. Regardless, check out our voter guide at vote.norml.org. And I definitely encourage you to engage directly with your lawmakers on this issue. Also, I'm glad you said that because it reminds me, I just read this article last night where someone not from Virginia wrote an article, very well intended. Two people wrote an article, very well intended, about how Virginia can fix its medical cannabis program. Except they said cannabis is taxed in Virginia. Medical cannabis isn't taxed in Virginia. We don't tax medicine in Virginia. And I kind of think it's weird that other states do tax medical cannabis. And I'm really, really proud of Virginia for saying, no, we don't tax medicine. So there's a step. Leave the taxes for adult use. Okay, Brady, I see your question. I'm getting there. Yeah, Melissa, very, very eloquent there. Yeah, I think GoGo on Instagram says Virginia rocks. Yes, just don't drive with weed. Agreed. Yeah, don't drive wherever you are. Don't drive with weed. Your state probably has laws about that. Even if it's legal for adults, I'm looking in the wrong container. Like, make good choices, people. Okay, if your state prohibits driving with cannabis in your car, don't. And also don't ever drive high. That's stupid and irresponsible. But like in Virginia, for example, our law acts like we have. It was supposed to be enacted at the same time retail sales were, and there were problems. So retail sales remain not enacted in the Commonwealth of Virginia yet. So you can't really have adult use marijuana, is how it's called in code, in an original sealed manufacturer's packaging but you can't put it in a locking container and put it in the trunk of your car. So just like you can get, this is just an example, but get something with a lock. Don't smell like weed. Don't be high. Put it in your trunk. Make good choices. Even if it's legal, like just save yourself that hassle. Put it in a locking container in your trunk to demonstrate you're not trying to consume cannabis while you're operating a motor vehicle. At the very least, you're giving your attorney more opportunity to defend you in the court of law. Missouri. Thank you, Wasted, for letting me know. Wasted says we have a sin tax here on cannabis at 20% in Missouri. Woo! That's a spicy meatball. 20%. Good grief. All right, friends. It's family movie night. So we're going to wrap up here and go do that. I think I told you most of the news. There's one more. I like this one, and then I'll tell you about some events, and then we'll peace out. Listen, there was a clinical trial done. They used dronabinol in this clinical trial. Dronabinol is the generic name for Marinol. Marinol is the brand name for what is 100% pure synthetic THC encapsulated in the sesame oil capsule. There's nothing wrong with the fact that it's synthetic in this instance, because it's still the same molecule, right? THC is THC. The difference here between this synthetic and another synthetic is this is regulated by the FDA. It's clean. You're not getting the same contaminants that you would potentially get in an unregulated synthetic. Just in case anyone wanted to get weird about the word synthetic, it's okay. It's still the same molecule. The problem with synthetics generally is that they're unregulated and dirty. This is not. Anyhow, it's an FDA-approved medication. It's Schedule 3. And they did this clinical trial with Alzheimer's patients, and they gave them oral THC, dronabinol, in 5 milligram capsules twice a day. And it significantly, unsurprisingly, mitigated the agitation that these patients experience with Alzheimer's disease. So, love a clinical trial. Love a clinical trial. We had two clinical trials in this week's NORML news. So next time someone says, yeah, but we need more research, you can full-throatedly roll your eyes at them. It does become an alphabet there, Christopher. And any of those, you stay away from them. Anything that looks like that is a no. No. You. All right, this has been a blast. Hey, you'll be the first to know. I want to tell you, look, early voting is underway around the country, so vote, okay? Elections have consequences. And Suncoast NORML is one of our Florida chapters, and they host a podcast every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern called The Rotation. It streams live on YouTube. They may not be doing, it's entirely reasonable that they may not do one this weekend because of the hurricane that happened this week, but they have archived episodes like we do. So check out The Rotation by Suncoast NORML on YouTube at Suncoast NORML. And come to the 2024 NORML Key West Legal Seminar. If you are an attorney who needs continuing legal education credits, our legal seminars are fully accredited in every state that requires CLEs for their practicing attorneys. If you are not an attorney or you don't need the CLEs, good news. We have a discounted rate just for you. You can get all the information. I think there are still some rooms available in the discounted room block as well. This is at normal.org/Key West. It's at the Pier House Resort and Spa in Key West, Florida, December 5th, 6th, and 7th. Come on out. Come hang out with me and Keith and Paul. Meet legal experts from around the country who specialize in cannabis law. You don't have to be an attorney to come to the seminar. Keep that to myself, Christopher. Hey, thanks for this question, Brady. Brady asked if I lived in Florida, which is where I was born and raised. What would my stance be on Amendment 3? It's yes on 3 all day. Yes on 3 all day long. You can end 60,000 arrests annually. Think about that. When you go vote yes on Amendment 3, is it perfect? No. Who cares? No one's serving you that. This is the choice you get. The choice you get is ending 60,000 marijuana arrests annually in the state of Florida. You're going to say no to that because you don't like the business proposal? Get out of here. Not you, Christopher, of course, because you don't vote there. You expect me to get spicy about that? I love it. Okay. Oh, and then one last tiny bit, and I have not updated the website yet, so give me a minute. I'm just telling you now. I know the information on the website still says 2024. Just give me the weekend. The Virginia Cannabis Conference, the 2025 Virginia Cannabis Conference. I was so confident in this. Is it? It's in January. Okay. The 2025 Virginia Cannabis Conference will be January 25th and 26th. Technically, the 24th is the welcome reception. 25th and 26th, that Saturday and Sunday, will be the 2 seminar and expo days. And then January 27th will be Cannabis Lobby Day in Virginia General Assembly. I will update the Virginia Cannabis Conference website with all that information for you at virginiacannabisconference.com. Buds, hello. Also, Keenan, I see your 2 questions. And before I sign off, because I'm just about to, sorry you just joined, I'm going to answer your questions. Keenan asks, will it be legal in Indiana in 2025? You can open the door. It's okay. It could be, but that might be a stretch. I think let's get through the election first, and we have a gubernatorial election. Some candidates who apparently all support medical cannabis, and that's a great place to start. And then Buds adds on Instagram, the war is not over. Yep, it's exactly what we've been saying. Buds goes on to say that their court ordered in Ohio not to consume cannabis because the judge has a problem with it. Oh, and you hold a medical cannabis card. Perfect. See? It's crazy stuff. It's legal, and then you still have someone who's like, oh, I don't like it, so you can't do it. Judges should definitely be making medical choices, healthcare choices for defendants, right? That's like when I need to, get an antibiotic, I'm definitely calling the judge and asking them if they think that's right. I can't stand stuff like that. Ugh. Sorry, buddy. CJ, you're funny. All right, friends. This has been a blast. We try to do this every Friday, so hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. This has been great. If you are watching this after the fact and you have burning questions that you want me to answer, hey, feel free to send an email to normal@normal.org. Just put, hey, JM at the top, and then I'll see it and answer it. All right. Hey, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on a Friday afternoon. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And as always, I'll see you back here next time. Bye bye.